within the week on our road to Nashville, less than a week away for the national championship game in Nashville, Tennessee. Mike Ryder joining us now here on the Big Sky Breakdowns. Riding with Ryder. We do this once a week during football season. Mikey, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
Doing great, Colter. Yeah, doing awesome, man. Holidays behind us was awesome, but sights are set on Nashville. Excited for what's to come.
Well, you and I did a breakdown about the Super Brawl, as it were. So we don't need to spend much time on the past. We can just sort of talk about the present and the upcoming near future here. But you're a guy that's been around Bobcat football for a long time. What do you think have been the main factors in Montana State rising to the level that they're at? Not necessarily just in this national championship game, but to be a perennial, deep playoff run national championship type contender.
Yeah, I think so much of what uh, what has been developed within the program, which is the most impressive. And again, we talk about this dang near every week, but it is the how the foundation of all football teams are built, which is on the offensive and defensive front. If you want to be successful, it has to be that way. So I know even as you look back into to Coach Choate and his emphasis on some of that stuff, and he was so loud about the guys that they want to recruit, right? Guys with length and size, and you got to win in the trenches, and of course you got to have everybody around them. But the identity and the core, to your team has got to be built there. And so I think that then transpired into what took place with hiring Coach Vegan and, given his pedigree, the North Dakota State pedigree, and then obviously, time at the FBS, his focus was going to be very similar. Is going to be, look, we're gonna punch you in the mouth, and we're gonna control the line of scrimmage, and we're gonna be deep. We're gonna rotate guys, specifically on the defensive front, so that guys, fresh equals fast, but we're going to be physical at the point of attack. So I think that's kind of the bedrock. Now that goes into a lot, strength and conditioning goes into that, right? Because you get guys on campus, and you're gonna make them tough and physical, and you're gonna add weight. But then I think the biggest thing too is just that it's crazy to see the expectations. Expectations are a wild thing.
Yeah.
Like it's and that was in his first press conference. Coach Vegan in his very first press conference, his goal was like, we're going to bring national championships to Bozeman. We're going to win the state. We're going to bring, win the conference, and we're going to bring national championships to Bozeman. And he didn't shy away from that, from press conference number one. And so it's pretty cool to see what's been built. And you look back, and it's like, look, they win at the line of scrimmage in the fourth quarter. They're going to take over the game more often than not. And they're going to run the football at you. And yes, they can throw it. Yes, we'll have some bells and whistles on the outside, and we got to recruit skill guys. But at the end of the day, we're going to run the ball at you on offense in a 2-minute drill to drain the clock, or we're going to be in a base defense. We may blitz every now and again, but we're going to be gap sound on the defensive front. We're going to punch you, stay gap sound. We're going to tackle, and you're going to feel our tackles late in the fourth quarter because we're trained that way. And that's how we're built from a strength and conditioning perspective. And you put it together, and it's a pretty good combination. I think that's just been the recipe year after year. It's that foundation with toughness and physicality in the trenches across the board, but the expectations. And it's a weird thing because you look at now Montana State fans. I mean, 15 years ago, it was pretty cool just to be in the playoffs and you win a playoff game, and that's awesome. And now it's like, the expectations are to go win a national championship. And so it's fun to see and kind of seeing the vision of, both Coach Choate that he started, and it was Coach Ash too. He did a really good job. He had a part in this whole thing too. And then you get into Coach Choate and then right into Coach Vegan. And this is really his game plan and vision. Pretty cool to see.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, who pump it up, pump it up.
Town Pump has been Montana's best since 1953, and Town Pump is proud to send Skyline Sports on the road to Nashville. Montana State is gunning for its first national championship in 41 years. Follow along at SkylineSportsMT.com. The road to Nashville, proudly presented by Town Pump.
Town Pump, right down the road, pump it up, oh yeah.
Injured in an accident? You may be entitled to a bigger settlement, up to 3.5 times bigger. Your initial consultation is 100% free, and we don't get paid unless we win your case. No matter the accident, we are here to help. The advocates will fight for you because you deserve clarity, you deserve justice, you deserve guidance, you deserve an advocate. Contact us today.
I love that you brought up the expectations part, because I was thinking back, Montana State has won 23 playoff games in their decorated history. 3 of those are in the Sonny Holland era when they won the 76 national championships. Those were technically Division II because FCS Division I AA didn't exist yet. But 20 Division I wins in the playoffs since the 1AA was created. And 3 of those were in 84 when they won the national championship. And Mike Kramer had 1, Rob Ashe had 2, Jeff Choate had, I think, 3. But Brett Vegan has 11 of the 20. Like, he's got more than half. And this, this is not a place that has had patsy coaches at it. I mean, Sonny Holland and Sonny Lubick and guys that are dudes have been at Montana State. So it's pretty impressive that Vegan has done that. But I was also just thinking back to, because you're right, Rob Ashe did do a good job. But I think a lot of people focus on the end more than the totality. Because, you were in there on the beginning, and Montana State had done some good things in terms of being able to even the rivalry a little bit, and they had some great talent, but there's a lot of stuff that was a mess, man. I mean, it was a wreck. But Ashe came in there and cleaned a lot of that stuff up, and that helped Montana State sort of have the foundation that they needed. But I never forget in 2011 when Stephen Bethley blocked the extra point against New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And Rob got his first playoff win. And the guy had been a head coach since the 1800s. I mean, he'd been a head coach for like 40 years or something.
Totally.
At that point. And they were celebrating like they won the Super Bowl. But I never forget like the way that was sort of compartmentalized among the fan base too, though. It was like, wow, we won a playoff game. This is great. And then they lost to Sam Houston the next week. And sort of the overwhelming thought was, well, really good year, and we're just not quite there yet. And that's okay. We're going to keep building. And now it's like if you lost in the second round of the playoffs or the quarterfinals or whatever, it'd be a disaster. Like if you went to Sam Houston and got rolled like that, totally. People would be freaking out. So it's just a totally different level of expectation. I think that helps elevate a program so much.
Yeah, I think it's across the board. I mean, it elevates the expectations of, rising tides make all boats rise. I mean, so you start talking about expectations, and then the money has to match it. The facility, from the donor level, has to match it. The recruiting then matches it. The facilities then match it. The pay for your coaches, it gets matched. It's kind of the compound effect, and it's an old adage, and it's true, man. Winning is the cure-all.
Yes.
It's an arms race, and I get it. And where's the ceiling? And so I often think about that. This is the heck of a time in Montana State football history, and so I hope people are enjoying this because it's hard to get here from somebody that, again, I remember having conversations in our locker room, late in my career, junior, senior year, being like, look, stop making plans for Thanksgiving. Like, here are the expectations. And then, now all of a sudden it's getting into the playoffs. And then it's winning one playoff game against New Hampshire. And then it's, obviously it's always been beating the Grizz and winning a conference title, but the expectations have changed so much. And so I hope people are understanding how much work has gone into this to get this thing built to where it's gotten to, and it couldn't be done without so many people involved. But I hope people are enjoying what this looks like and not being like ungrateful. I know, it's one of the qualities that I try and get my kids instilled into my kids. Like, don't be ungrateful. There's not a worse, in my opinion, there's not a worse quality in a human being as someone that just lacks gratitude. And so I hope that people are grateful for what they're witnessing, and grateful for the kids, the coaches, the donors, the athletic department, Leon Costello, the Bobcat Collective, guys like you and the coverage that we're actually giving to Montana State athletics and football. The program and the university is in a really good spot. I just hope people are seeing it and appreciating it.
We can't allow them to find any hope. No hope. Make it mean something, fellas. Now is the time. This is the place. Any team, anywhere, anytime.
Y'all take the fight to him.
It's going to be picked off, taken.
Take 1 week. Episode 6.
Skyline Sports is on the road to Nashville. We couldn't do it without Blackfoot Communications. As the Montana State Bobcats take Bozeman pride on the road for the national championship, Blackfoot Communications is proud to support the businesses that keep this community moving. With managed services, high-speed internet, and business voice solutions, Blackfoot delivers the reliability and local support Bozeman businesses depend on game day and every day. Blackfoot Communications has been around for more than 70 years, providing high-quality jobs to people around southwestern Montana. To learn more, visit blackfoot.com. Blackfoot Communications, powering Bobcats and powering Bozeman businesses.
Shine Beer Sanctuary is leading the charge when it comes to promoting beer culture in Montana. Located at the corner of Church and Main and downtown Bozeman, the locally owned and operated tap house and bottle shop has the best beer selection in the Treasure State. The bar has 32 rotating beers on tap with everything from Duvel to local ciders, gluten-free beers, and non-alcoholic options. The bottle shop has more than 400 beer offerings from all over the world, and Shine offers Cicerone-trained beer guides. Come enjoy beer heaven at Shine Beer Sanctuary in Bozeman.
Everybody's got to appreciate Wade Cruzado too, because I was thinking.
And Waded, thank you,
I mean,
100%.
because I was just thinking about, like, where did this expectation turn? And I know it was really hard on you because it directly affected your life. You were working for Rob Ash, and when Rob got let go, there was a huge fallout from that, and there was a very strong portion of the fan base that wanted to see it happen, and then there was also a portion that were thinking, well, this guy's like 70 and 30. I mean, this guy's won 70% of his games. He's the all-time winning coach in the history of the league. He's won 4 Big Sky titles. Like, what are we going to do? But Cruzado, to be able to first say, this is who we're hiring as our head football coach, and that was not an agreement between her and the former athletic director, Peter Fields. Peter wanted to hire a different guy, and Waded said, no, we're hiring this guy. We're hiring Jeff Choate. And then Peter ended up retiring or resigning. I can't remember. I think he actually ended up getting a different job somewhere else later on. And then Waded comes in and hires Leon Costello. And those things have been the things, the direction that they have been able to implement, and the just like the forward thinking and the don't take anything but greatness for that's the standard. It's been so impactful for the whole university.
And it has to be, all links are connected in that. And it has to be a shared vision. It just has to be. And so, I mean, Colter, I look at the staff that we had in 2015. So we had, we had Kane Ione, who's now the defensive coordinator at Nevada.
Yep.
Michael Petrie, he's a running backs coach for the Atlanta Falcons.
Right.
Daniel DePrado, he's now the special teams coordinator at New Mexico.
Yep.
Jason Eck, who's the head coach at the University of New Mexico. Jody Owens, now who is back on staff at MSU. Yep. Right, so I'm probably missing guys. Bo Beck, who did a great job with our defensive line, right? We had a really good staff, and we had previous staffs that were so talented, that were so good. But it's crazy when you have the expectations across the board, and there's a shared vision. It's kind of the Nick Saban. It's like, look, everybody in the facility has to have these expectations from the president of the university to the athletic director to the coaches to the trainers to the players. This is what's expected inside of these walls.
Yeah.
And so I think that is the alignment that we've seen. And everybody's played their part. I mean, guys like Rob Ash, he was unbelievable, right? Now he cooked the cookies a little bit different than others. And then same, Mike Kramer before that, and then, Choate. And it's been a really good run with a lot of talented players, a lot of good coaches, but you got to have the shared alignment and you got to have the belief. And it starts from the very, very top. And so, again, I hope people are appreciating the well-oiled machine that it is. And again, it doesn't just go to football. So now you're talking, it's across all the athletics. You look what track and field's doing. You look what, I know basketball, Coach Logie, he's done a good job. I know he's building there. But Coach Binford, she's killing it, right? I know volleyball is working its way through some stuff. But it's exploding. The university, the athletics, everybody seems to be on the right page. And so it's fun to see.
And that's where I'd give Choate so much credit is just the attitude that he implemented. I mean, Danny Sprinkle, I wrote this story about Choate when Choate left, because Sprinkle said, man, outside of like some of my assistants and outside of some of my great players, the guy that changed my program the most was Choate. Because he said Choate would challenge me. He would say, no, it's not good enough. Like, you can't sit here and say, well, the Grizz have won 13 Big Sky titles and we've won 2. Go get it. Like, go win it, you know? And
get a shovel, man.
Right. Sprinkles described it so well. He said, it's like you're the kid on the playground that's gotten beaten up, but now you got the baddest dude on the block getting your back. And now you can strut around the playground and you got all the confidence in the world because you got this dude behind you. And, you know, I know there's varying opinions of Choate and all that, and I thought he was a great recruiter. I thought he was a good coach that was great in big games, but it was the attitude that hey, we're not doing this like, oh, we're second banana to Montana or any of that stuff. That's the thing he implemented. And it's not just him. Leon Costello deserves so much credit for it, and I mean, Coach Binford has turned a corner because of a variety of different things, mostly just because of experience and you know, just being the veteran in the league and all that. But the attitude change definitely stemmed from Choate's influence for sure.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I think it goes back to expectations and having the attitude. And it's just interesting what a program needs at different times in its life cycle, right? With the Sonny Holland and what he did, and then, you know, some of the down years, and then insert a guy like Mike Kramer and injected some life, and albeit rough around the edges, but, you know, made some stuff happen. And then insert Rob Ash, who was kind of, you know, dusting the program off, getting it, you know, looking right, and also winning good football games, but, you know, maybe not to that level that people wanted. And then he insert Choate, and we're not going to back down from the Grizzlies, and here we're going to go about this, but, you know, and build something, you know, really, really good. And then all of a sudden you got Vegan, who's like, all right, we're going to fine tune this sucker. And here are the expectations. Here's where we're going. And so I just, you appreciate all of it. I know I do.
When I was approached by a group of men, you know, really right out of our national championship appearance, I think they saw NIL as an opportunity to continue to allow our program to grow. And it was very well thought out of. At the time, they didn't just come up with this on a whim. I think they studied other institutions across the country at all levels to be able to do it right, to be able to implement it the right way, align themselves ultimately with Blueprint after talking, I think, with several outside entities on how it should be managed. All our intentions with the Bobcat Collective are in the right place, and that's the most important thing. You know, they're about continuing to promote our program, allowing our guys opportunities to help along with that. I think that's really important. It really, I think, has provided this give and take. You know, our guys are certainly benefiting from it, but then they're giving back at the same time, whether it's individual opportunities with particular businesses or just in general giving back through the collective to our community.
Town & Country Foods, proud to support the 2025 Bobcats on their way to Nashville, and also proud to support Skyline Sports on their road to Nashville as well. Town & Country Foods is 100% employee-owned. They have 9 locations serving Bobcat Nation around Southwest Montana. Town & Country Foods focuses on great food at a great price with a huge selection of organic and natural foods. Check out their weekly flyers on tncfood.com. Town & Country Foods in Bozeman, Belgrade, Helena, Livingston, Lewistown, Billings, and Dillon. Town & Country Foods, a stalwart of the Bobcat community and a proud sponsor of the road to Nashville at Skyline Sports.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
The last point on this, then we can get into some of the actual national championship game that's coming up. We see this in politics all the time where the pendulum swings and you go from Republican president to Democratic president, and like it keeps swinging more and more to the extremes. And in a lot of ways, it's not good for the organization in that parallel, the organization being the United States of America. But in college football, oftentimes, or in college sports in general, if you have these crazy swings, it destabilizes a program and it takes a minute for it to get back going. I mean, you couldn't find more different guys than Mike Kramer, Rob Ash, Jeff Choate, and Brent Vegan. I mean, holy cow.
Takes them all, right?
What a testament to the university that they've been able to continue to be steady and continue to build. Because I mean, those four guys in a room, you couldn't find a more awkward foursome because they're all totally different. It's sort of amazing that they've been able to do that because like Montana, you look at like certainly in demeanor because Bobby Hauck is just so much more edgy than like Don Reed, but like Don Reed, Mick Dennehy, Joe Glenn, and Bobby Hauck are not that dissimilar. They're different in personality a little bit, but like they're Montana guys that love Montana, And when Montana went outside the family, it like it like collapsed in on itself because people couldn't handle it, and the school couldn't handle it. But it's a testament just to the stability of the university as a whole, I think, too.
Yeah, it is. And I think if you can, at some point, hopefully it's years down the line, like and Vegan moves on and does something different. That's why those that hiring is so. It's like recruiting. It's just not a science, and you feel like you've got a guy, and that's why you see all the people that are changing, and there's guys that are hired and fired, and there's now in the hiring tendencies with like the flash in the pan. Well, we want an offensive guy that can score points and do this and do that. It's not a science to hiring these people. So when Vegan moves on, you just hope that the pendulum is you don't swing one way or the other. It's just kind of like how do we keep it a little bit in the box. But again, it just goes back to just appreciate what you got because it can change. And so I just hope the dominance that the Cats have shown over the years and the state of the program in the university, I hope people are just enjoying it for what it is because it's special.
Big Sky Breakdown, probably presented by the Bobcat Collective. Bobcat Collective helping us get to Nashville. If you want to find out how you can donate or help out with the Bobcat Collective, bobcatcollective.com. If you go bobcatcollective.com/skyline, you'll find a free membership, first month free, courtesy of us and the Bobcat Collective. Excited to hang out with those guys down in Nashville. Okay, ready for my harebrained theory before we actually talk about this Monday night game?
Shoot.
I think that because there's this omnipresent conversation going on, if and when Brent Vegan is going to leave. I think if Montana State wins on Monday night, I think that solidifies that Vegan's going to be there for another year. And I think that if they can then run it back and try to make another run at the national championship, which they'll be the overwhelming favorites because they only have 9 seniors on this team, I think then he's there for a long time. And the reason I think that is I think that we're marching pretty rapidly toward a realignment in college football.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the jobs out west that he would have jumped for, they're not coming open because they've already been open. Like Fresno State's not coming open soon. They just hired a guy. Colorado, and you never know what's going to happen. Like there's certainly something terrible could happen, a scandal could happen, or a team just goes 0-11 or 0-12 and a guy gets fired, or a guy does really well at like a Colorado State or something and he gets a bigger job. So you never know. There's always going to be openings, but I do think the cycle was so intense with New Mexico, Fresno State, Colorado State, Oregon State, like Washington State multiple times, Utah State. They've all been open, and now they're closed. But I think the more national prestige that Montana State continues to gain, there's going to be this moment where this FCS is different. It's a different level of Division I football. And then if you're on the same playing field as the Mountain West schools, Montana State's going to be one of the premier jobs in the West United States that's not in the Power Four.
Yep.
And you're the champions coming out of the FCS.
Yep.
And, oh, by the way, after Justin Lamson leaves, probably the guy who's your heir apparent is your son. at quarterback. I just think that that's going to be an incredibly tough scenario for Brent Vegan to leave. And who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. And
No,
maybe I'm being a Pollyanna and being optimistic about this. Like I always say, I don't have any rooting interest in any of this. I just really love working with Brent Vegan. He is just a really interesting guy, and I think that he's really, really, really easy to work with. He's super. I mean, shoot, he let me do my radio show from like right outside his office on Monday. Like most coaches don't do that kind of stuff. So selfishly, I just want him to stay, but also I just think that a lot of this stuff is pointing towards that. I just think that when it all fractures, what jobs are better than Montana State? I mean, you got Washington, Oregon, and Colorado, but like the Mountain West jobs are not better than Montana State if they're on the same peer level. And I think that the farther along this goes, the closer we get to that.
Yeah, I think what you touched on a couple things and just wrote them down. So I think we can't jump into Brent Vegan's head, so we don't know. But I think there's things that you're evaluating, and so one of the things you keep talking about is the geography. I mean, it matters where a coach works because that's your footprint. Brent Vegan is not taking the job at Duke. I don't think that's happening, right? I mean, why? Well, because there's recruiting ties. Recruiting is the lifeblood of of any program, and so not to say that it can't be done. I think we see it more at the FBS level. Some of those Power 5 jobs, like Kalen DeBoer, who's really from South Dakota, goes to Fresno, goes to Washington, goes to Alabama. Spent some time in Indiana. As a coordinator potentially, he was at Indiana, and then gets the head coach at Washington, and then goes to Alabama. I think that can be doable. At that level, you see it more, but in some of the more, Group of 5, FCS, it really is geographically based.
Yes.
Before you make that jump to the FBS. So if you look at that and you're like, all right, well, like you said, where does it make sense for Brent Vegan to potentially go? Those programs that you mentioned in the Mountain West,
sure.
Those cycles are kind of done, right? I guess maybe New Mexico, because I think, a guy like Jason Eck, maybe he's the hottest name, one of them currently. And so, but like you said, Colorado State, Fresno State, right? Those programs are the cycles that those jobs have been filled. Now things can change, but the other thing that you got to consider, I don't know Coach Vegan all that well, but he has shown a track record of staying at places for a pretty long time. And so
he's been doing this since 1998. He's only been at 3 schools.
So what does that tell you? All geographically in the same region,
right?
And
who's his mentor? Craig Bowl.
Yeah, right.
Craig Bowl was at Nebraska, North Dakota State, and Wyoming, and that's it.
And so, how important is the lifestyle to you? Again, I can see through my Bobcat glasses. I realize that it's like, you live in Bozeman, makes a good wage, just got a raise. Kids are on the team, loves the team. Expectations are high, a ton of momentum.
Wife has some businesses going on in Bozeman. She really likes Bozeman.
She likes it. I mean, I know. Yeah. So you put all that together, and some coaches that's just not that important to them. It is kind of, but then it's their wife is like, that's fine. I'm expecting to kind of move, and it is what it is, and I want to see you climb to the highest level. Some of them are like, look, why shouldn't I be at Craig Bowl at North Dakota State? And I was like, I'm going to plan to be here. I'm going to ride this thing out. I make a good wage. This is really great. Of course, it'll sunset at some point, but I don't know. I can't answer that for Coach Vegan, but he strikes me as somebody that's a little bit more like, hey, I kind of want to be where my feet are. It'd be fun to create a power. We got a ton of momentum. I get paid a good wage. I love living in Bozeman. We fill up the stadium, more so than you will when you go to San Diego State or you go to some of those programs, trying to revive it. And so I think, he seems to be happy right where he's at. But these coaches always have, there's this build it mentality. I think some of them like that challenge of like, well, I want to go someplace and I want to build something from scratch. A Coach Eck has done that. We've seen that from him. We've seen that from a lot of people, but I think to a certain extent, Coach Vegan, has the ability to do that and likes that. But I can't jump in his head. I think what you're saying is tracking. There's a lot of things that could keep him in Bozeman for longer than beyond this season. And there's a ton of factors, but that coaching carousel, it's a wild, wild thing to witness, even from the outsiders. You look at all these jobs fill this time of year. It's pretty dang crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked with Travis DeCuire, Montana head men's basketball coach, about this a lot because he's been in the mix a ton, and he's told me to my face. He said, "I have no intention of ever going and losing 20 games anywhere, ever." So like if the job that I'm going to take is going to take me having to go 5-25 in year one to rebuild it, I'm not doing that. He's like I'm not.
And I get it. I get it.
Right. So, and like he was saying, and look, I always look at a guy like Paul Wolf. Paul Wolf had Eastern rolling, not rolling like they got to be under Bo Baldwin, but they were good. They were competitive. And then he got the Washington State job and he goes 9-47. And I mean, it took Paul Wolf, what, 15 or 16 years to get back to being a head coach? That's tough, man. That's really tough when you're a great young coach and then you just take a job. And like, is it Paul Wolf's fault that Washington State went 9-47? I think pretty much every coach that took that job at that time was going to have a really hard time because Wazoo was funding it like a high-level FCS and they're playing in the Pac-10. Like,
yep.
You're not going to win games. It's not Paul Wolf's fault. Nobody was going to win games there at that exact moment. But then it derails you. And that's, I look at Bobby Houck.
I was going to say.
Like, yep. The way, Coach Houck, you worked for Coach Houck. The way he's wired, he had to go give it a run at the highest level.
Yep.
But he just ended up with the wrong fit, right? Like, he was in the mix at Colorado, didn't quite get it. In the mix at Minnesota, didn't quite get it. In the mix at San Diego State, didn't quite get it. You get any of those jobs, Bobby Houck's not at Montana right now. He's probably still coaching in the FBS, but he goes to a place where it's impossible to win. They can win now because you don't have to cheat anymore. You can just pay guys. But
totally.
But like that's a bad fit. Like Bobby Houck with a developmental walk-on type program in Vegas that's just a bad fit.
Yep.
But imagine if he never leaves. Like there's an alternative sliding doors where Houck stays in Montana. And he's been there for 23 years, and the Grizz have won 5 national championships or whatever,
Yep,
So,
yep.
And I think Vegan understands all that stuff though too. I guess that's the point I'm making is that, like, who knows what was going to happen at Oregon State, but I don't think that Vegan wanted to go there and like try to rebuild this thing that is just stuck, and that and then you're there for 4 years or 5 years, and then you just get fired, and then what? Like that's it's a bad spot where you're at in your career where he is at.
I totally agree. And then you throw in some of the family stuff where he's got kids on the team. That's a whole different ball game. So we don't have a crystal ball to predict, but it's sure things seem to be lining up to say, hey, this could be a good spot for him, long term. Obviously, people in Bozeman and Bobcats throughout the country would love to see him stick around for as long as he'd like.
You're not just a case. You're not just a client. You're a person, and you deserve support. You deserve simplicity. You deserve communication. When you hire an attorney, you deserve clear, risk-free advice that guides you to the best possible outcome in your injury case. And that's exactly what the advocates have been providing for over 30 years. After your accident, you deserve closure. You deserve compassion. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve an advocate.
Bobcat Collective has grown leaps and bounds since it first was instituted as the NIL Collective at Montana State. And the Bobcat Collective has certainly played a pivotal role in helping Montana State reach its 3rd national championship game in the last 5 years. Bobcat Collective also proud to help sponsor the Road to Nashville in association with and partnership with SkylineSportsMT.com. If you want to find out more about how you can help contribute to the NIL Collective at Montana State University, just visit BobcatCollective.com/Skyline for your chance to earn a free 1-month membership to see what the Bobcat Collective is all about. Road to Nashville, Bobcat Collective and Skyline Sports. Follow along all January long.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Rider with Rider, probably presented by the Bobcat Quarterback Club. Bobcat Quarterback Club celebrating their 25th anniversary this year. Pretty cool. It's a great story. You know, those guys, they were tired of losing to the Grizz. They knew they needed to get some funding going, so they started a quarterback club, and they sort of spearheaded the hiring of Mike Kramer. And now here they are 25 years later. I was just around the quarterback club meeting on Monday after my show, and man, those guys were just so excited, especially some of the old timers that have been around forever. Like to beat the Grizz twice in a month, man, they just cloud nine. But it was funny because they, everybody's walking on air and they're having a fat tire, and then they go upstairs and they watch the film and they come back down, and all of them came up to me and they're like, "Man, Illinois State's pretty good." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that's the whole narrative of this whole thing is that you beat the Grizz twice in a month. Congratulations, you're going to the national championship. You haven't won the national championship yet. You got to go to the national championship." And that to me is the biggest obstacle Montana State has last week and this week is just overcoming that feeling like, oh, we already won it, because they haven't. They got to go play a really good team on Monday in Nashville.
Yeah, they do. I think Coach Vegan is the perfect guy to really spearhead that effort. I mean, he understands what's at stake, and I think the complacency is what kills. I think Coach Vegan, he has shown that he has the ability to get a team ready to go. But man, you turn on the tape and you look at the stats, and this team has got what it takes. I mean, Illinois State is it's been a kind of a perplexing type team. I mean, they wins over South Dakota and South Dakota State, and obviously the playoff game against North Dakota State, but a home loss on Senior Day at 37-7 to Southern Illinois, and barely beating a 2-10 North Alabama team. They beat them in double overtime. I mean, they gave up more points against North Alabama than they did against University of Oklahoma to start the season. I mean, it's been pretty perplexing on defense. They've had some fourth quarter meltdowns, and so this team is high caliber, though. I mean, gunslinger, dual threat quarterback, in Rittenhouse, and he's the guy that's been there for a while, developed, but they got kind of a similar identity to the Cats. I mean, they do big old linemen across the board. They're tough and they're physical. They're going to run the football. They got two backs, with Wright now coming back. He's been out since like November 29th, but he's coming back. He was an 1,100-yard rusher last year. Yep. And then you input the Victor Dawson, the transfer from Cincinnati. Like they've got some dudes. And then Sobkowitz, right, who is just he's a dude. 18 touchdowns. I mean, that's eight
in the playoffs.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? So this team is so hot, right? And then they got All-Americans on defense with Niekamp, who's got 155 tackles. I was looking at some stats last night. I'm like, 100. Do you have any idea? 155 tackles?
It's crazy, man.
That's unbelievable, right? I mean, he's a junior, so it's an interesting matchup. And then you look at their senior laden, and they got like 29 plus seniors, and you got nine seniors for the Cats, and so. Kind of an interesting. It's a reason for you to pause and be like, look, this is a very quality opponent that's on an absolute run. They got a ton of talent and they're senior laden. So if you think you're just going to roll down there and kind of, play your B game and make it happen, like that's not a good game plan. I'm not saying that's what Montana State's doing, but I think people should gear up for a heck of a ball game on Monday night. I do know that.
I thought Rittenhouse was great in his press conference on Monday. He was very, very revealing. I mean, somebody asked him, like, do you guys feel like you underachieved during the regular season? And he said, absolutely. He said, we were the preseason number 5 team in the country. We were thinking national championship. And he's like, then we just screwed it up. He said, we just didn't play well in several games. And then we were kind of just on cruise control. But then we hit it and we found something. But then we fell apart on Senior Day. But we promised ourselves if we got in the playoffs, we're not going to lose again. And here they are. They're only one game away from not losing again. So I thought that was pretty revealing. Niekamp also said that the defense they run. They have a lot of seniors up front, but they had some young guys on the back end, and it took them a while to figure it out. And now they figured it out, and they've been great defensively. That bears out. Basically, to me, it's like 2-part season for them, right? Before November 1st, they were just a mid team. November 1st, something clicked, and they've won 9 out of 10 since then. And the one outlier is that weird loss the last week of the regular season. But this, to me, is what makes FCS football great. Teams going undefeated for multiple years in a row, that's cool, and congratulations. But the part that makes it great in the FCS, and it's particularly from like the coaching standpoint too, is it's not if you lose, it's win, and how do you respond. And I love stories like this when a team does have the makings of a good team, but they can't figure it out, but then they do figure it out. It's kind of like Montana State too, right? They stumbled through their first 2 weeks, but then they figured it out, and they've just been rolling ever since. But this Illinois State team expected to be good, and then they weren't, but now they are. And I think that you're right. I think a formidable opponent awaits Montana State in Nashville.
Yeah, and credit to Coach Spack. You can just tell he's a defensive coach. He's a no nonsense guy, right? He's just an old ball coach, and you could tell that they're a disciplined team. They're going to be physical and tough. It's going to be a heck of a matchup across the board. And so I think, you turn on the tape. Believe me, those guys in Bozeman watching the tape, they understand what's at stake, and also the opponent that's going to be on the other line of scrimmage. It'll be a heck of a ball game on Monday.
Let's talk about a guy that's just sort of stayed where he likes it. I asked Brock Spack that. I said, "Wait, what's kept you there?" He goes, "My wife loves Normal. We like it. I got a nice house. I didn't want to do the whole move thing. I got a great job. I just like being here." So it does happen. It's rare.
It does happen, but you don't know, because we're not in those people's heads. And look, call it what you want to call it, but someone comes to you and says, and it'll happen for Coach Spack. I'm sure he's had people approach him about these jobs, and someone's going to look at you and say, "Look, we're going to triple your salary." And it takes some inner resolve and some real vision and some conviction behind why you turn something like that down. And so I have never been in that position. I don't know what that would be like. But it does take a special individual to say, you know what, I'm going to be right where my feet are and enjoy this. And I got a good quality of life, and my wife and my kids, they like it here. And so is that how Coach Vigen is? He seems to have a lot of that based on his track record, but we'll see. But I think even that, just both of those elements, two coaches that seem to be similar in that mindset, makes this game even a little bit more intriguing and fun to watch.
Great game out there today, boys. That was awesome.
Yes, sir.
Hey, guys, check it out. We got the new 5th quarter jerseys and a note from Tommy. Tommy says, "Best of luck this season, and remember to keep the 5th quarter tradition alive." Whoa! Hey, guys, look. We made it to the R-Bar.
I'm already ready to go.
Our plays are on fire today, boys.
Yeah, so these wings. And the drinks are secured.
Cheers to our bar.
5th quarter.
Meet the MSU players here at the R-Bar after every home game.
Skyline Sports is on the road to Nashville, and we couldn't get there without our friends at Daz Insurance. Brad Daz has been serving Montana and Idaho with State Farm for more than 50 years, particularly Bozeman and Big Sky. Brad's team of 12 professionals has more than 100 years of combined experience and among the best trust of any insurance agency in Montana. Brad and his son Dusty are the only father and son duo to earn All-American honors each for Montana State football. Brad was an All-American defensive lineman for legendary head coach Sonny Holland in the 1970s. And Dusty was a All-American long snapper and offensive lineman for Mike Kramer in the early 2000s. Daz Insurance offers a full line of State Farm products, including auto, home, life, health, and business insurance. Brad and his team can be reached at 406-586-HOME or braddaz.com. Daz Insurance, proud to help Skyline Sports on our road to Nashville.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors. Traveling across Montana to stand by your side is your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller and Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
Last thing for you, Big Sky Breakdown, SkylineSportsMT.com. Our road to Nashville continues. It's probably presented in part by Town and Country Foods. Town and Country Foods has 9 locations throughout the state of Montana. Of course, they have the central location there on the Montana State campus. Anybody that's got a school there, or especially been around athletics there, you're always going to the TNC for something.
Oh, I've given so much money to that place. I
Oh,
mean,
dude.
more breakfast burritos and energy drinks and cups of coffee and the occasional can of chew.
I was teasing them because I was like, hey, if you ever want to work out like a cash trade deal, we could do that. And I was like, I'll just pay my guys that live in Bozeman and trade because they just come here to shop anyway. So
Yep.
might as well save them some money. But we appreciate Town and Country for sending us on our road to Nashville. Is there one matchup that you'd be really concerned about if you're Montana State coming into this game?
Yeah, I am curious on just Rittenhouse and Sobkowitz.
That's the one
He's
I was
so
going to point
hot.
to too, because the Cats have only played really like one receiver that's like him. It's the Shulikov kid from Idaho State.
Yep.
The big bodied like jump ball receiver like the Tanner Blesk and Mitch Herbert guy doesn't really exist anymore in the FCS. I don't know if it's because they're all going to the FBS or
Yep.
what, but that guy doesn't really exist at this level anymore. All the receivers are like Taco Dowler and Jabez Woods and Michael Wortham and Brooks
Yep.
Davis. They're all tiny guys that are fast as lightning. But yeah, I agree. They haven't really seen a guy like Sopkowitz.
Yeah, and I think that and then Rittenhouse, he's rushed for 500 yards, right? So this guy is a true he runs the football, and so as a defensive guy, that concerns me. He's a guy that can sling it. Clearly, he's put the ball in harm's way, but 36 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He has the ability, and but it worries me. Rushing the passer and breaking the pocket and extending drives. That's what he's done late in these games. He's been able to extend drives with his feet, and so
It's so
much
funny
like Lamson.
Exactly. It was so funny talking to Brock Spack. I said, "What do you think of the quarterback matchup?" And he's like, "I look at their guy and I see my guy. And I look at
Yes.
my guy and I see their guy." He goes, "So I'm very concerned because I love my guy." And so he's like, "I'm pretty sure Coach Beacon loves his guy too."
Yeah, I think both guys have been labeled early on in their careers as guys that look, great athletes, maybe are lacking the ability to push the ball downfield, maybe get through their progressions. They're not as polished in terms of throwing the football, which, by the way, any quarterback needs to develop that. And so both guys have gotten to that where now I have the ability to see the field, get through my progressions. I'm going to step up on the pocket when needed, but I also know when to get out and go, move the sticks and use my feet. And so that'll be an interesting matchup for sure. And then, you got to stop the run. I think Victor Dawson's a big back, right? He's a 5'11", 220-pound back. We saw a similar size guy in the stud from Yale. It's going to take some gang tackling, and so the front seven's going to have their work cut out for them. And then, just keep an eye on knee camp. The offensive front for the Cats, can they get a push? Because it's Illinois State is going to be priding themselves on something very similar and trying to hold up against the run, and they're built very similarly with some physical guys up front. I mean, they got some defensive ends that are big dudes, and then knee camp is productive all over the field. We've already mentioned him. So, can the offensive front, can they get up to the second level and get hands on linebackers? And so I think across the board, it's going to be a heck of a matchup. But that one with Sobkowitz and a young secondary of the Bobcats, a Caden Dowler that TBD, and you got a Petrie who's done a really good job filling in. You got those young corners that have done a really good job. What does that matchup look like? Because you can maybe let him beat you a few times, but you can't allow that and Dawson to run for 100. And I think he's averaging 135 yards these last 3 or 4 games. You can't have them both. That's been their recipe.
Mike Ryder, road to Nashville. Riding with Ryder. We'll do another one while we're down there.
Can't wait.
Look forward to seeing you when you get in, man. But thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks, Colter. We'll see you down there.